Alrighty. Are you ready to go?
Ready, baby?
All right. Since we're already recording, but nobody knows the secret. So, Jessie, you're on my show again.
Yay! I'm so happy. Thank you for having me.
Woo! Yay.
Virtual hugs and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So, this is Lizzie's Bedtime Stories. For those of you who have not listened or watched it before, it is an opportunity for you to get longer readings than, the 5-minute jobbers that, you get if you're at a conference or at a reading. So, she's going to be reading two things, two very different things. Very different. And so she'll do one reading, then we'll chat, then we'll do another reading and chat, and then we have to say goodbye. so let's start with your first reading. Can you set that up, please?
Yeah, I can. I'm going to read out of my newest book, which is called Operation Stop Hate. and
it's so not you. I'm sorry. When I saw the cover to that, I was like, that does not remotely make me think of Jessie.
That's true. I'm extending my wings, trying new things, that kind of thing. Although it's kind of funny because this is not as new as it seems. I actually wrote it back in 2003 or 4.
Wow.
And it sucked. I mean, it totally sucked. So I pulled it back out a couple of years ago. Yeah, a couple of years ago at this point. And I did not think the themes in this book would still be viable. And the sad thing is they are. And it's bullying, a school shooting, a hate group. And it's all of those things that are still contemporary today. And it was a very sad thing when I looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I rewrote the entire book, so you're not getting the
pop cultural references
exactly
that are irrelevant.
Yes. It's really hard. Cell phones alone were hard to change in here. All the technologies.
Well, there's that, and unfortunately, I feel in the last year or so, there has been a huge amount of issues. Lots of bullying, lot of shootings, and horrifying things happening to people of color. It's just horrifying. So, and unfortunately, it is appropriate, but also we need those books out there for, kids and adults who are experiencing those things so that I feel that all writing makes something visible.
That's true, yeah, absolutely.
And so that's something that you're providing, and I think it's special. And you said you were going to read the preface?
I'm going to read the preface, and then I'm going to read a little bit into it. The preface it's pretty dark. It's very unlike my normal writing, and then we get into meeting the main character, and we're going to read just a little bit into that so we can kind of see what Kaylin McKenna is like. Okay. That's her name is Kaylin. So, should I start?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the beginning, and we'll just roll from there. The second gunshot came less than a minute after the first. The sharp blast faded, replaced by the frenetic sound of music drumming through Sony headphones. They covered the ears of the young man who moved with slow, deliberate steps down an empty hall. Blonde curls brushed the collar of a black Carhartt jacket, and worn jeans hung loosely on his thin frame. He peered carefully through the narrow, rectangular windows on each classroom door. Inside, students cowered alongside terrified teachers. As he systematically checked one room after another, he tonelessly hummed to the thumping in his ears. Halfway down the hall, he froze in front of one of the windows. After a moment, he raised a hand and tried the doorknob. School protocol dictated that in the event of a threat involving potential or realized violence, the teacher's task was to lock down the classroom. The teacher within had followed directions. The boy wrenched violently at the knob. The door shuddered under the onslaught. He stepped back, aimed a black handgun between the knob and the door jamb, and pulled the trigger. The deafening report of the gunshot sent the still classroom into a blur of movement. Kids screamed, scrambling for cover. The teacher charged toward the now splintered.
What was that?
That's like Doc and his squeaky ball. All the squeaky balls, maybe I should pick them up.
No. No, I just want my listeners to know what the hell that was.
He stepped back in the black handgun between the knob and door jamb and pulled the trigger. The deafening report of the gunshot sent the still classroom into a blur of movement. Kids screamed, scrambling for cover. The teacher charged toward the now splintered entry at the same time the shooter slammed the sole of his scuffed boot in the center of the door. It swung inward violently into the woman. She bounced off the door and skidded across the floor. The boy calmly stepped over the motionless teacher and scanned the room. He reached up and tugged his headphones off, leaving them slung around his neck, the pounding bass now clearly audible. The shooter focused on a thin teen in jeans and an untucked green flannel shirt. Hunter, a wide-eyed, long-haired girl who'd been standing near Hunter, backed slowly away. Hunter made a choking sound and his face blanched. He raised his hands. No, Mike, please, what's... The gunshot shattered the air. Hunter spun as if a hand reached down from the ceiling and twirled him like a top. He crashed into the girl and both went down in a flurry of arms and legs. The panicked shrieks of 30 terrified students reverberated through the classroom. Mike exited without a back... Can you edit that out?
No, I'm going to make it stay in there.
Mike exited without a backward glance, humming once again. 3 doors down, he paused and tried the doorknob. This one turned, he pushed the door open. A chubby man with a fringe of white hair stretched his arms protectively in front of a number of students who huddled like lambs around him. Mike looked past the teacher and locked eyes with another student with a buzz cut and an athlete's physique. Hey, Billy. Mike's voice was glacier cold. Mr. H, please move. Mike, Mr. H said, this isn't what you... Please, just move. You don't have to... Move it! Mr. H lunged toward Mike. Blood spewed as the report of a shot hammered through the room, the concussion and almost physical force in the enclosed space. Kids yelled. They scrambled over desks and each other in an effort at self-preservation. Mike calmly skirted the fallen Mr. H. He stopped in front of Billy, who was backed up against the windows that overlooked the parking lot. What are you doing? Billy's voice sounded like someone kneed him in the nuts. What am I doing? Mike echoed faintly. He raised the gun. You know what. Mike's body quaked, and he shouted, no more! Please! Shut up! Mike stepped closer and pressed the barrel of the gun into Billy's sternum. Mike! A voice shouted from the doorway. Please, please don't! He cast a glance back at a tall, plump girl who stood on the threshold. She breathed heavily, eyes wide. Like rats deserting a sinking ship, kids squeezed past her and ran down the hall. Mike let them go. No, Libby, not this time. Mike refocused on Billy. Over his shoulder, he said, get out of here. You do not want to see this. Dude, come on! Olivia took a couple of steps inside the classroom. It doesn't have to be like this. They're not worth it. Olivia, go! Billy's eyes flicked between Mike and Olivia. Yeah, Mike, come on! Mike dug the barrel harder into his chest and Billy grunted in pain. Mike's voice dropped and hardened. Hunter and this asshole did something to Otis, to my goddamn dog. We had to put him to sleep last night. Oh, God, Olivia whispered on an exhale. Billy said, come on, man, I swear I didn't. Shut up, fucker, paybacks are a bitch. More gently, he said, get out of here, Libby, do it now. Olivia backed away, stumbling over an upended desk. A thunderous blast chased her out the door, glass shattered, and the sound was almost lost in the din of screams echoing in the hallway. At last, nothing remained but the tinny beat of heavy metal rock music.
Woo!
All right, so.
You know, most of your fans were like, that's not Jessie.
Just, we have the cover. I think it's different.
Well,
than this.
Yes, put them together, actually. Put the covers, yeah.
That was one of my concerns, was how people would take this book, because it is very different from everything else. So I did a different type of cover. I did a different feel to the cover, trying to let them know that it isn't a Shea book. It isn't Shea O'Hanlon. So, all right.
Give us, yes.
All right.
Me.
Raindrops pounded the ground. I forcefully shook my head before stepping through the back door into my apartment. which was half of an ancient two-story northeast Minneapolis duplex. Built railroad style, the apartments had a long hall that ran along the outermost wall, going through the unit from the front door straight to the back. The kitchen, a living room, and a half bath opened off the hallway. On the second floor, 2 bedrooms and a full bath were situated off a duplicate hall. I shrugged out of my wet jacket and hung it up. April showers might bring May flowers, but they didn't do much more than make me cranky. The week had been grueling, and I looked forward to an unexpected weekend off. Mail had been injected through a slot in the door by the postal carrier and was strewn haphazardly across the foyer. I scooped up the envelopes and brought them into the kitchen. At the table, I flipped through the mail. 2 credit card applications landed in a shred pile. A Target bill and a reminder that my teeth were overdue for cleaning went in another. A pink envelope with the return address of one E. Knight was the next item. Eli was a red-headed Tasmanian devil, an ex who recently decided she no longer wished to hold that status. After what that tramp pulled on me, that status wasn't about to change. Ever. In the midst of an intense 4-year relationship, I'd come home unexpectedly one afternoon and walked into our bedroom to the shock of a lifetime. Eli and a woman who worked with her were sprawled in our bed between our sheets doing the horizontal mambo. After my brain caught up, I flashed the gun on my shoulder holster, and they both went packing, dressed in nothing but their birthday suits. As I scrambled down the stairs and out the front door, I picked up the clothing they dropped and threw it out the bedroom window. The neighborhood gossiped for about the next month about the 2 naked chicks scrambling around my front yard, trying to cover themselves up with what they could gather. That was nearly 2 years ago. Eventually, for whatever reason, Eli decided she wanted another go. I figured sooner or later she'd knock it off, but 5 months had passed and she hadn't let up. She had recently taken over the helm of the advertising agency she worked for when we were together. The little womanizer had the gall to claim she'd slept up the ladder for me. For me, yeah, whatever. She was a certified nut job wrapped inside a power-hungry barracuda. I gazed at the stack of pink envelopes on the table and then at the 4 empty vases that had held red roses before I pitched them directly into the trash, sitting on the kitchen counter between the fridge and microwave. All the flowers had come in the last week. Maybe it was time to admit my ex had lost her mind. I ripped the newest missive open and pulled out a single sheet of scented stationery. The smell brought unbidden images of times best forgotten. Kaylin, it said, why are you shutting me out? I'm finally at the top, and you're meant to be here with me. I'm the only one who knows how to love you, and you know it. Let me give you all of me. I love you, Kaylin, and I know you love me too. Eli. I tucked the note back in the envelope and tossed it onto the growing pile of undying love. It was past time to call her on her bullshit, but I put off the confrontation in hopes that she would pull her own head out of her ass without help. I threw the rest of the junk mail in the recycling bin and dialed North Star Gallery. Okay. North Star, a distracted-sounding voice answered. My heart thumped like it did whenever I heard Alejandra, Alex to those she knew and loved, Rodriguez speak. My girl was always quick to make it clear she wasn't to be confused with the ex-Yankee baseball player. While she had bigger figurative balls than half the Yankees put together, she came by her strength naturally. Every night, when I laid down and held Alex close to me, I thanked the gods and goddesses for bringing her to me. My responsibility as a special agent for a small branch of Department of Homeland Security called the National Protect.
You were just like, you gotta get this.
I don't read this, and that's why. Because I never have a chance to read this long. So.
It's Lizzie's fault.
Take the notes for your own writing. Mm-hmm. Never give anyone the name of an agency that's like 4 big words long. It's a bad idea. Every night, when I lay down and held Alex to me, I thanked the gods and goddesses for bringing her to me. My responsibilities as a special agent for a small branch of Homeland Security.
Just go with it.
Fucking A. Put that in there. Fucking A. All right.
I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. And I'm keeping it. Yeah. We're leaving that blooper in. Go for it.
My responsibilities as a special agent for a small branch of the Department of Homeland Security called the National Protection and Investigation Unit took up the majority of my life. The federal government wasn't creative enough to come up with a new set of job titles for the NPIU, so we were stuck with the same ones the thieves used. Beyond that, though, were some major differences. The NPIU had three main goals. The first was to assess, track, and stop homegrown terror plots by analyzing and acting on information gathered by a number of agencies at all levels of government. Information collection proved exceptionally tricky. Just ask those folks at the National Security Agency. Currently, the NSA was under fire for overreach in their efforts to collect international intelligence. I didn't know how long the mess would end. I didn't know how long that mess was going to continue, but no matter which way it went, the reputation of the United States had taken a serious hit. I was glad I worked mainly on this side of the pond. The second mandate was to be available to any agency who requested our assistance, terror-related or not, as long as imminent danger to the American public was established. The last, and in my opinion most critical mandate, was to improve cooperation, sharing of vital information between city, state, and federal agencies in an attempt to bridge the negative attitudes departments often held against each other. The pervasive cooperation problem reminded me of a pack of dogs fighting to mark their territory by seeing who could lift their leg higher. The truth of the matter was, all too often, no one was getting any relief. Alex cleared her throat and repeated, "North Star? Hey, hey yourself," I heard the smile in her smoky voice. "What's up? Aside from being whiny from loneliness, I figured you'd like to know I got another letter." Alex let out an exasperated sigh. What did it say this time? Same shit, different day. Jesus Christ, what'll it take for her to get the hint? Get a restraining order, shoot her, something. Alex was only half kidding. Eli had been incessant since we came home. She had an obsessive streak, but in the past she eventually grew bored with whatever her current obsession was and would fixate on a new one. Why she wasn't doing that now was beyond me. And I'm going to end at that point, but it continues on, and Kayla gets called to the scene of the school shooting, and then the investigation starts taking place into what happened. So
like how many O'Hanlon mysteries? 4? Do you have Shays? How many?
There's 4. I'm working on a 5th right now.
Now, obviously, they're very, very different. One of the trademarks of the series is humor. Yes. And even when there's a lot of peril happening, there are just little quirky things to make you laugh. Emotionally, how was it to write something that did not come from the same Shay space?
It was really interesting. When I pulled the book back out and looked at it again, it is very different. It's very different in tone. There's a little humor, but it's not, is there a line here, a line there, rather than kind of a theme of humor. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. I didn't know if I could go back to that. Mm-hmm. And when I started rewriting, I fell back into the rhythm of that book, and in a way it was kind of refreshing that I did not have to continually try to find humor in certain situations or try to figure out what I could do to make something funny. So in that way, it was kind of nice.
They often, obviously, they say drama always gets the awards, and the Oscars and whatnot. But mm-hmm. comedy is hard, and the stakes are so high for the funny. There are so many films that flop because they are striving for that, and sometimes there's like magic, like in Aladdin, with the genie, was just Robin Williams gold. But there's a lot of fall on your face stuff when you're trying to be funny, and drama definitely comes from a different place. But I could see how challenging it would be to write and be funny as things are going on.
Yeah, it's and then once I was finished with Operation Stop Hate, and I had to think about Shay again, I'm thinking, can I make that transition back? But once I get into the meat of the project, then it does. My mind just shifts in somehow, and it'll work. It works.
How do you get into it? How do you engage with a novel?
That's a good question. I think what I've had to do is go back and reread some stuff. Mm-hmm. Reread a little out of each of the books. It's helped when I start writing again And because I'm a slacker and I haven't made that character Bible that every writer should make, I have to go back in the books and figure out, okay, well, what car was Shay driving at this point? Or I remember I had to look up what another character drove as far as a vehicle. In fact, I think in one book it was one way, and another book it was a different car. Which she could have certainly bought a new car, but I don't think I intended that. So,
I have one book. I won't tell who the author is. It was a series, and in book one, the character's 5'8", which is how tall I am. And in book two, she was 6 foot tall. And I'm like, that's a huge fucking difference. And
yeah.
What's comic about it is the author is short. And it's interesting that she makes all of her characters tall. So for me, when I wrote If I Die Before I Wake, I wanted my main character to be 5'2".
Okay.
I wanted it to, because it's so often we get the kind of glamorized characters that are, tall and dashing.
Beautiful, and they have blonde hair.
And dentine smiles. But I like that about her. I like that she had really long hair, not just because I do, but it's also cliche to have either short or shoulder length hair. And
you're right. You're very right.
Whenever I try really hard to not be different for different sake, but just to feel different to the reader. That this is a different character. This is not the character I've seen in a lot of different books by different authors.
And not the cookie cutter sort of characters that often happen with lots of money and unlimited free time.
Yes, and those wonderful lakefront properties. I'd love my listeners to get a chance to get a little Shay action and see how different that feels.
Okay. Should I read a little out of Shay?
Give me some Shay, baby. I love Shay. Just love.
So this is Chip Off the Ice Block. It's the most recent Shay book. Mm-hmm. It's the fourth in the series. And in this book, in each of the Shay books, the book centers around one of Shay's friends or family. Mm-hmm. And in this particular book, it centers around her dad. And it's New Year's Eve, and Dad owns the Leprechaun, which is the bar in Northeast Minneapolis, and it's a busy time. That's when bars make a ton of money. New Year's Eve, all the booze that's going on. And Shay gets a phone call, and she's trying to close down her coffee cafe, because she and JT, her partner, are headed up north on vacation. And it's a vacation that they've been waiting to take for a long time. And Shay gets a call from the bartender at the bar and says, "Your dad's not here, and this bar is packed, and you better get your ass down here right now." And she's like, "What is going on?" And her dad is an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic who owns a bar. And she thinks that he's fallen off the wagon one more time. Mm-hmm. And she's pissed. So she goes to the bar, walks in. It is busy. The bartender, his name is Whale, because he's a very large guy. He's the only one working. She gets up to him, and he says, "I've had it." And he whips off his apron, and he throws his keys at her, and leaves.
Oh!
She's stuck with the bar by herself. So...
you and all this peril you throw at your poor characters.
I know, poor Shay. She's traumatized.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny.
So, that goes on, but what the story then is, where is Shay's dad? And in the course of the night, a St. Paul police officer shows up asking to talk to Pete, Shay's father. He's not there. And Shay says he's not there. And then he says, does he own a gun? And he did own a gun. He owned a handgun. It was kept underneath the counter. And Shay had not bartended for a very long time. She didn't even know if it was still there. So she didn't really answer him. And what has happened is there's a dead body that it's turned up, frozen in a great big block of ice. And that block of ice is meant for the St. Paul Winter Carnival's ice carving contest. And it's been dropped off with this body in it. And with the body is a gun, and that gun is traced back to Shay's dad.
Holy moly.
Yeah, poor Shay's dad. He's missing. So Shay, when Shay's got a temper, and she has gained that temper from her dad. So she's thinking, did he flip out and kill somebody? Where is he? What's going on? She doesn't know. So she has to start looking for him. And she is hesitant to tell JT because JT's a cop. So she's kind of doing this on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of this night, with the cop coming, another woman comes in asking to talk to Pete as well. And her name is Lisa. And she doesn't really explain why she wants to talk to him, but she does. And Shay is swamped, she's crabby, and this Lisa knows how to bartend, so she offers to help. So they spend the rest of the night doling out booze, and they make it through the night. One thing leads to another, and Lisa and Shay both are. Lisa has joined Shay in the search for her dad. And Lisa is probably 26, 27, 28 in that age, so she's a little bit younger than Shay. And she is in school. She's going to Minneapolis Institute of Arts, and she's working on getting into becoming a museum type person or somebody who's involved in the arts professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to read to you is a little snippet here of the two of them visiting one of Pete's friends who played poker with him 2 nights prior. And there was a group of them, so she's visiting each one to see if, was he acting funny, did he say something to you? And so the guy that she's going to talk to is one of the men. Okay. And that's where we're going to start. A woman lugging 2 animal carriers hustled into the elevator right behind us. From the caterwauling going on within the carriers, you'd have thought the animals were being very slowly and painfully murdered. The woman said apologetically over the yellow, "Sorry about this. I'm bringing them in for a photo shoot for a new ad." I smiled. "It's okay. Sounds like they're not too happy traveling around like that, though." "Well, they'll quiet down once I let them out and give them a couple of treats. They come highly recommended from the place that supplies us animal actors. The trainer is in the parking lot and will be in shortly, I hope." Animal actors? Really? The woman and her noisy charges exited on too, and we continued the ride to the 3rd floor in blessed peace. The elevator doors opened into a lobby that was comfortable and seated 10 people, thereabouts. Each wall was decorated with a huge blow-up of a cat, posing in various beatific, I'm not even sure how to say the word that I put in my own book.
You have been screwing yourself over all night long.
No, we're just going to skip that word, so just pretend that it's not there. Various positions on top of trays of cat litter. I wondered what kitty goodies the photographer had to bribe him with to cooperate. The receptionist was a young man in his mid-20s. His short blonde hair was bleached so much it practically glowed. That contrasted rather shockingly with his orange-brown face and the glaring white skin around his eyes that made him look like a reverse raccoon. He either paid too much for a bad spray tan or spent some significant time in an ultraviolet casket. A genuine suntan in the middle of a Minnesota winter was a pipe dream. The old boy sat behind a horseshoe-shaped desk, dressed to kill in a natty gray suit with a bright orange cartoon tabby tie, and he gave us a blindingly white smile. "Hi," he said. "What can I do for you?" "Roy Larson," and I said, "We don't have an appointment, but I think you'll see us." "He's down on too. They're shooting a commercial."
Can I just tell you something? People will be more entertained by your reactions to yourself than by the reading. They're going to be just like, "That Jessie's adorable. We're going to buy her book."
Well, that's good. That's good. Because this is cracks my ass up.
Just get over. Let's just stop. Let's just stop. Let's give yourself a break.
I've seen in the book before this conflict. That cracks me up too, and I can't.
don't just drink your pop, bitch.
Pop and calm down.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping not all of it, but we'll keep a good amount of it in because this is entertainment, Broad.
It is entertaining and it is entertainment. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. Okay, here we go. He's down on two. They're shooting a commercial for our newest product, Larson's Hawaiian Super Plump Flush Away Cat Litter. Lisa asked, what makes it Hawaiian? They added coconut scent to it. It smells exactly like Malibu rum. Coconut booze scented cat poop. Just what the world needed. Cool Boy said, if you want, I can check with him and send you down. I said, that'd be great. After pushing some buttons and speaking in low tones to someone on the other end of the line, Glow Boy said, go on down to the second floor. When you get off the elevator, it's the third door on the... He held up his hands and wiggled his fingers, first on his right and then on the left. He gazed at his hands a moment and flopped his right hand around and said, yes, that's it, on the right. He looked up at us with a triumphant expression. I suppressed a grin. Somebody could not tell the rights and lefts apart. We re-entered the elevator. Once the door shut, Lisa burst out laughing. I think he had one too many baking sessions at the tanning salon. Or he sniffed too much Hawaiian cat litter. I poked the button for the second floor. Oh, hell, I have to admit I flunked my first driving test too because I couldn't follow directions and make a right when I was asked to, and instead I executed a perfect left and nearly crashed into somebody. It was a short return trip. I'll bet. You know it. But Eddie brought me back the very next day and I nailed it. It was the same creepy examiner and he held onto the dashboard the entire time. The elevator doors slid open, and as we exited, Lisa said, I failed my test 3 times, but it was because I screwed up parallel parking and ran the stop sign. Glad I'm not a teenager anymore. We stopped at the third door on the right, which was propped open. A few people scurried around inside, setting up a stage at one end of the room. The stage was filled with a couple of fake palm trees, a whole bunch of coconuts, and a backdrop showcasing a sun-dappled beach and teal-colored water. Huge letters arced over the sandy beach and spelled, Don't be a chump! Use Larson's Hawaiian Super Plump. Lisa said, not exactly subtle. We came to a stop just inside the door. Poker buddy number 3 himself was talking to the lady we'd met in the elevator. The cat carriers were on a table off in the corner. Another woman who looked just like a female Jack Hanna in forest green khakis and a button-down safari shirt with the sleeves rolled past her elbows was talking to the felines through their wire doors. She had the weather-ready skin that comes from spending most of your life outside. I caught Rory's eye. With a charming smile, he waved us over. Shame! Roy held his arms out. I stepped in and gave him a hearty squeeze. He pushed me back and gave me the up-down assessment the older generation gives the younger, when it's been some time since they've seen each other. Roy beamed at me. I thought of him as that odd, yet kind uncle who everyone seems to have in the family. Roy, I said, can we talk to you for a couple of minutes? Of course! Vi, will you please excuse us for a moment? The woman we'd met in the elevator smiled. Absolutely. We followed Roy out of the hall, and into a conference room. The focal point was a fancy, high-gloss oval table that sat at least 10. A bar with a mini-fridge was situated in one corner, and a white chalkboard took up the bulk of 2 walls. Sit, Roy waved at the table. Can I get either of you anything? We both declined and settled into well-cushioned, smooth leather chairs. Apparently the kitty litter biz was doing pretty good. A loud commotion in the hallway interrupted us. A panicked voice shouted, Here, kitties! Here, Herbie! Here, Zamboni! Alarmed, Roy pushed his chair back and stood. Lisa and I followed his lead. Before any of us could make another move, two fleeing felines charged into the room. Zooming around the perimeter once. One of the boys' cats made a frenzied leap and proceeded to scale Mount Roy. Those claws had to hurt. Before we could react, The cat launched himself off of Roy's shoulder. The second cat leaped onto the table and was scampering around in drunken circles when the other one joined in. Vi burst in the room. Upon seeing the cats, she shouted, "In here!" She flung herself across the table, attempting to grab one of the furry beasts. A high heel went sailing through the air. Both cats nimbly hopped over her flailing arms. One cat landed on her ass, and from there made a mad leap toward Lisa. From Vi's screech, her butt must have taken the brunt of the cloth-hooded jump. The other cat bounded to the floor and dodged out the door as Jack, Hannah, Ed dashed into the room. "Oh my God, Herbie!" she yelled at the cat Lisa was attempting to wrangle. "Hang on to him! Where'd Zamboni go?" I pointed. She spun and raced out of the room. Vi was still sprawled across the table, one shoe on and one shoe off. Her once neat hair was in wild disarray. She was holding on to one butt cheek and howling. Roy had 2 long scratches down the side of his face, oozing blood, and he looked shell-shocked. Lisa gripped the cat in a football hold against her side, and after a few moments of struggle, it gave up and started to purr. From the volume of the little guy, it was obvious why his name was Herbie. At that moment, there was no way we were going to have a heart-to-heart with Roy. I would have to try again when things weren't quite so chaotic. There you go.
Yeah, you did it. You made it through. So, to keep our recording tight, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you.
That's okay. I appreciate it, but it was good talking to you for like a little while.
Little bitty time. It was a little bitty time. That was a little bitty time together.